So we are live. Uh, for those of you joining us live, welcome. For those of you watching on the replay, also welcome. So, Kerstin, my guest today, I always say this is my opening monologue. I never introduce you. I ask you to introduce yourself, just purely because I don't think I do the best job. So would you mind just taking a few seconds or minutes or however long you want just to introduce yourself, who you are, anything you think is relevant, any highlights you think would be useful for people to know a little bit about you and the context of today's conversation?
I will be doing that. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Colin. I was looking forward to this conversation. I know we had a wonderful long conversation via not Zoom a few weeks ago where we decided we are going to do that. So thank you for having me and making space for me. So I'm trying to keep it relatively short because I could talk forever, not just because it's about me. This is not what it is. It is just about the story. But I think we will be getting into the story in various times. So my name is Kerstin Grünling. I'm living in the beautiful, today sunny Glasgow in Scotland. You can see under my name that I am calling myself at the moment an alignment alchemist. And this is an evolution over a few years. I have been working in corporate. My dream was always something completely different, as is possibly quite common in our world, because we are not always following our heart or our calling, but we are following what other people think is the best for us. And in 2019, I have quit my job forever to follow my dreams finally at the young age of 50. I'm 57 now, 56, I think. And was diving into self-employment, following my calling of being a photographer, became a brand photographer, was quite successful in that. I'm still a brand photographer, by the way. But in all this way, I fell into the trap of working too hard. I thought quitting corporate will bring me into a different life, which was not the case. So anyhow, but let's keep it to an introduction. I'm Kerstin Grünling. I'm a human design guide. I'm a brand photographer, the only one in this country who is working with the human design system in the photography. I have changed my business a few times around. I am now guiding people into alignment and helping them to follow who they really are, come back to their truth, come back to their alignment, come back to their authentic self, and trusting that this is the right way and moving forward in that way.
Fantastic. So there's many places I can go with this conversation. First of all, I wanted to just reflect on our initial conversation, as you said. So the way it works is that before any guest comes on, I just have I say 15 to 30 minute conversation. And I think your and my conversation, I want to say about an hour and a half, if not nearly 2 hours. And on reflection, I realized probably within the first 30 seconds, you opened up the call and I vomited basically all of this information about myself, my past, things that have gone on, everything. And I was trying to think why I did that. And I think it came down to energy. I know I've tried to assess it, and I was like, oh, was I just having one of those days that I needed to talk? But it was when you opened up the call and I think you said just a few things and I literally went, bleh, and I told you so much about my past. And I was like, no filter, no nothing. It was like so much. And I was like,
Beautiful.
hang on, Colin, what are you doing? But then I was trying to, again, really understand where's that coming from. And the best way I can describe it, it wasn't obviously vomiting, but it was like an energy. I just felt that you were like a magnet to what I wanted to say. It's like I'd been boiling all this stuff up or had all this stuff. You opened the call and I just told you so much. And I was like, that's weird, because that's not necessarily who I am. I'm happy to be vulnerable. I'm happy to share my story if it helps anybody else. Not necessarily want to always talk about myself, but there was this magical moment, and I've not really had that before. And so I want to say energy. Would that be right, or do people just do that with you, or am I just, I don't know, was it just one of those days for me?
Huh. How did you feel afterwards, apart from thinking, oh, what did I do just?
What, after that initial part, or the whole
After
conversation?
that, when you let go of these things, how did that make you feel afterwards?
Oh, fantastic. It just, it felt free. It felt, I think some of the bits in my past is not always that glamorous, and probably some shame that I've held around some stuff. So when I talked about that, I felt so light, and so like, oh, like we'd been friends for a long time. And I was just like, yeah, like, great. And almost like, get that out of the way and then we can have a conversation. And it was amazing what that did for me. And you didn't offer anything. You didn't, I don't even know how much you actually said to me before I did that. So it was non-verbal, I would say. So yeah, it was amazing.
I think I can explain that a little bit from the human design and energy perspective.
Please.
First of all, what I love is that you are telling me that now, opening, and that you were feeling lighter. Because for me, that feels that you were releasing with that information that you were putting out. So you were basically making your soul lighter. You were pouring it out. You were sharing it with me. And often certain feelings that we are carrying, certain energies that we are carrying, we can release them by speaking them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going into one particular thing, which I think is really important. And a lot of people who hopefully be listening to that can take that on board. One of the feelings, the emotions that we carry for a long time usually is shame. And shame is an ugly one, because it's not an emotion that usually that we carry around like this. Hello, you want a little bit hearing about these things, But the easiest way to release some of these dark emotions, shadow emotions, or negative emotions that we carry is speaking them out, because we are getting them out of our body. And then they can disperse and go wherever they want. Yeah, but get them out. So speaking can be a really good way to release stuck energies and stuck emotions. And it's interesting when we look into now I'm going into the human design energetics. In the human design system, which is a system that is that helps us to understand ourselves better. Basically, it is all about energy. It is all about how we were designed to operate and how we were designed to be in this world. It's based on our time and place of birth. So astrology is a big part of the human design, but it is a mix of different ancient systems and also modern science and genetics. And in the human design, human design tells us that we are not all the same. We all know that. But it gives us an energetic map, how we are different and how we are here to exchange energy with the world or with other people. And we have 5 different energy types who all have a different aura and a different way how they interact with others. So I am a projector. Projectors are working through connection with one soul. Yeah, projectors are the guides. Projectors have an aura that is connecting deep with the other aura. Projectors are not very good with groups. Projectors go one to one, and projectors want to know everything. So when I connected with you, you're a generator. We can talk about that later. When I connected with you, I was just kind of, this is Colin. I want to know everything because I have genuine interest in the person in front of me. And you must have received that and said, oh, wow, she wants to hear all that. I'm ready. And that in turn helped you to release some of that energy that you were carrying inside your body and making you feel lighter. How cool is that?
It's amazing. But so, I mean, I've been through therapy before, and oftentimes, therapists ask you very targeted questions. I don't even know that you actually I can't even remember the first few things that you said. And there was no, I don't think any special question or anything like that. It was probably like, how are you doing? Or something very simple. And I was like, okay. So, which is amazing because I must have felt what you were open to hear about me, but without filter, and that's quite something. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was wonderful. Did we record it? No, we didn't.
No, like most of the conversations I have before the lives, I wish I had recorded it or streamed it, but I avoid doing that because I don't want to put people on the spot or them to feel because if they didn't agree with it, it's okay. And I think sometimes putting people on the spot like that is unfair. But in hindsight, most of the time, I wish I'd have streamed them because I think I've said this before. A lot of great information that people share with me, and then when I have to ask it again during the live, it feels not quite as authentic. It's okay, but when it comes out for the first time, it's like, wow, okay. So, but yes, maybe something I should consider, but yeah, maybe could use it, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I have with a friend who is hopefully live, maybe, a thing that we have a lot of conversations. We support each other, and we have basically every morning a half an hour conversation on Zoom. And we started recording it because there were so gold nuggets in there where we thought, oh my God, we didn't record that. Oh my God, this was really good. Wait, I can record that. I think, yes, and I understand that. And some people, when come on a call with you and it's recording, you think, what? They didn't agree on that, did we? I think it is all about energy, and humans, we are energy. We are energy. We are having an electromagnetic field around us, and we communicate through that. We are not only communicating through our words or through our intellect or through what we put cleverly together. We so much communicate just through our electromagnetic field, what's going on there at the moment. And there's a complete different conversation going on next to the one that we are having at the moment, because our fields are communicating.
It's when we talk about energy, it's strange because so over the last few years, I think when I went through therapy, a lot of that was about my mind, and then over the years, I've started to realize that actually it's about the body. I think the mind and the body, but I kind of discounted the body. I just thought the body was holding my head up, and that's where the brain was, and that was how it worked. And I'm only starting to sort of scratch the surface, but this idea of energy, I start to feel it from time to time. I think things like burnout, etc., is the body's way of saying, look, enough. The brain's been trying to run the show for forever. Now I'm actually the body. I was supporting you, but I'm going to shut it down so you can't do any more harm to yourself. So I've realized that, and I've started to pay more attention to my body and try to listen to it, because for a long time I've heard about it. I've done meditation. I still do. I do breath work, and I've found breath work very compelling, very I get a lot out of it. For some reason, I struggle to do it. I have a technique that I follow. It's 20 minutes, but I generally feel great afterwards. It feels like the sun shines after I've finished it, and sort of my pupils feel sort of more open. And I was thinking about this energy and how this is, and then I consider how it must be for a lot of other people, because I'm fortunate that I've built a lifestyle where I have the time to be able to do breath work and things like that. But the reality is most people are so busy in their life running around doing millions of things, oftentimes being asked to do a million things, not feeling that they can say no. And for me, that all exists in the brain part. We're running the show. So the whole energy, the whole body side really, and I know a lot of people are into yoga and, you know, meditation, massages, etc. But I think, you know, it's not, oftentimes that's nice from time to time, but I feel that should be more of a focus for people, their body, their energy, because it feels like the world is trying to get your attention and it's focusing up here rather than down here. So does any of that make sense? Is that
totally
okay?
Absolutely. The way I like to describe that, so our brains, our minds, you know, our logical thinking, that is here for a reason. Is really helpful because it can create things, make logical decisions. You can work with your logic and your intelligence and figure out how to build massive bridges over big rivers or the oceans, figure out how to fly a plane and all these things, you know. But what we forget is that our body holds a lot more wisdom than our mind and our brain. So when you imagine like that, when you get born, when you drop to this world, your brain is empty. You have no clue. Yeah, you have an empty hard drive. You don't even have a proper operating system on it. Yeah, so everything is in the body. So the body is absolutely incredible because it knows how to do all the things, how to have the blood flowing, the heart pumping, all these things that are happening in our body every millisecond. But our brain is basically an empty hard drive. And then from the first second when we start breathing, we start taking things in. So we start filling our understanding, our logic, our brain. We figure out how certain dynamics are so that we survive because we're helpless. And the first 7 years, I think, a child is basically in a receptive, hypnotic state where everything that comes will be taken also as face value, you know, and they are just kind of taking on and bringing information on their hard drive and filling the operating system and figuring out, okay, this is good, this is not so good, touching that is not a good idea, so let's stay away from the oven and things like that. But then also we start learning and we are going into school. So basically what we are having in our brain is all that we have learned from other people, from other parents, from society. Depending on what society we are growing up, we adopt the belief system because that's all we know. Yeah. So you have now, we are, whatever how old you are, so the knowledge that you have compounded in your head is secondhand, you know, is kind of part of knowledge of this person, what you've learned, what you've studied, what you've read, but it's limited. It's quite limited, you know, and we sometimes don't know what is right and what's wrong, and because it's just how we took it on. So the body, however, goes on wisdom of millions of years, which we all have in our cells. And every cell, we have this body wisdom, this ancient wisdom, this knowing. And it gives us a proof every day when we wake up and we are functioning, you know, because we don't need to think about how this all happens. And we couldn't even never understand that, how I can move my arm here and there, and my blood is flowing and I'm breathing without thinking, I need to breathe again, I need to breathe again. So why would we not trust our bodies for what's right for us more than our mind or our head or our logic? want to fix it, because that there are different ways where when we get deeper into the mind, the subconscious mind, where all our beliefs sit, which rules the show usually. But then we have the body and the body system, and the body tries to communicate with us all the time, but we are not listening because we are not used to that. And we are then, and the body knocks on the door. Hello, this is not good. Let's say the gut feeling. Yeah, the gut feeling, which we call the sacral response in human design for generators and manifesting generators, which is 70% of us. The gut tells you, wow, this is exciting. Let's do this, Colin. Come on. Yeah. And your logic is going, oh no, and I don't know, and maybe this person wouldn't like it, and I don't know if I can do this, and maybe that is a better option. And then the logic kicks in, and then everything gets tangled and tangled and tangled. And then you choose a logical option, and your body says, oh, really? Come on. And then you're moving in a direction where your body tells you then next, there is no energy for, there is, Colin, you should have gone there and do this. You would have loved that. It would have energized you every day. And instead you're doing this because whatever the decision making was. I mean, how are we brought up? I'm German. I brought up in Germany, and education, you need to go to uni because you have done your Abitur. So you need to go to uni. You need to get a proper job. You need to climb up the ladder. And I was thinking, but I'd love to do something creative, but I'd love to do something else. But then you start believing, or you make yourself believe, okay, that's the way, this is just how it is. And then I work until I'm whatever is the pension date age at the moment. I don't know really. And then I spend the rest of my money, sit in my garden, and that's it, But in fact, our body always gives us clues. So our body guides us. If we listen to it, if we learn how to listen to it, we can follow the guidance. And it's not necessarily the guidance, the path of the least resistance. It's not always the easiest path, but it is the aligned path when we learn to listen and to trust. And that is a difficult bit.
I was just about to say, I think there's been stuff in my past, and I think I've run most of my life on a logical brain basis. And there are a few times in my past where something's telling me go right when everything else in my world, the people around me, everything is saying go left. And it, when I look back over those moments, it's this trust, this blind faith that you have to have. I think you end up there anyway. But with logic and reason, you can go, oh, A, B, C, these all things all compute, that's why. But when this thing shows up and you want to go right, and you have to follow it with no logic to back it up. It's like this big fight. It's certainly in my case. And that word trust, and you're trusting in your body and what your body's telling you. And I think that becomes easier the more you experience it. But in my experience, I've not really led my life that way. So when it has come up, and they've been quite big events, it is almost world shattering, and that sounds over dramatic, but in my world, in my logic, it really was. And it's because of those events now, and I try as much as I can just to sort of say, okay, if this is something, then just go that way. A prime example is the way that I do this work, because this is, I keep saying this is self-funded. This technically is a business, but for a business to work, you have to generate money. And I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing any of the things that every guru will tell you, every business person that have been successful will sell you a framework or anything. I am I'm not actively doing it, but when I hear people on social media saying you should do this, you should do a newsletter, you should do this and this, I look and I go, yeah, I'm absolutely doing the opposite. And for someone who has generally followed the rules, followed the system most of their life, it feels pretty good, if I'm honest. I feel a little bit superior in myself, and that, you know, I'm okay to say that. But again, there's no buying and selling in what I do. It's just about having good conversations, having great connections, learning something, and I'm just trusting that's the right direction. I have no way of telling you logically what's coming. I know that at the end of this year, money will run out, and I'm probably in a financial situation.
What's thinking about that?
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, I when that comes up in my head, this bit around here, I go, no,
Yeah.
it's fine. And I lean into this way. And it takes effort to do it, because occasionally my brain likes to pop up and go, scare me a little bit. And then I just go, no, it'll be all right. And then I think, oh, you're avoiding. And then I get into overthinking, and I just go, let it go. Just go this way. Just enjoy it and see where you go. And but I just want to emphasize the point, especially when I keep saying this thing, like we live in the matrix a lot, like the corporate world, the way that we work, etc., and we're designed to follow a certain path, and that fits quite nicely in so many ways. And then when you realize that you're in the matrix, or you question a lot of the things that you think were good for you but actually not, and you look the other way, it can be a very scary thing to do, very liberating, very great, but it takes time. And so I'm 47, I've had 47 years of programming, like you said. It doesn't, big events sometimes are so drastic because they're sending you a big message, and and we can see that's quite painful at the time, but oftentimes in retrospect you look back and go, I'm really glad that happened, because it taught me or showed me something wasn't right, or I needed to take a different path. And but it is quite a scary world when you realize that you are so subject to this matrix, and then you want to follow a different path. So that's my experience. But I think the more that I do it, the more that I feel that, and I want to say feel, and I couldn't express what the feeling is. I can't even put a place on my body where it comes from. I know you said gut, but I get this feeling and I go, yeah, that's right. It feels, and oftentimes it feels easy, and that's weird when you go, oh, because oftentimes when the logic said, oh, and it felt comfortable that it ticked all these boxes, or I want to have a conversation roughly about money, because I think money drives a lot of our stuff, and it says, oh, we want more, we need more, etc., etc. So we look this way and you go, oh yeah, well, that's going to give me status, which will give me money, etc. And then, which is almost a trick to keep you in the matrix. And then when you look outside and you go, okay, I've got no logic that can tell me this way is right. It's a feeling, and I'm going to follow that and listening to it. But creating the space to listen to it is hard enough. And so I've spoken a lot, as I tend to do sometimes, but it was how, because you've talked about listening to your body. How do you actually do it? Is there one way? Is there a good way? Is there many ways? What do you sort of say to your clients?
So one thing that I always emphasize on is that knowing something is not enough. Yeah. It is all about embodiment. And human design is a beautiful system that helps us to understand how our energy flows. But then the understanding is not enough. We really need to start living it. We really need to start following it from our body being embodied. So embodiment is really important. It is a different journey for everyone. But the way I work with my clients, I encourage them and I invite them to consciously drop in their bodies. And I had to go through all that because I was the most conditioned person in the world, possibly. And there is still layers to shed. Yeah, there are still things coming up. You've never arrived, you know. You are you and yeah, there will be always moments where you kind of drop out of embodiment, drop out of alignment, and then think, wow, how did that happen? And awareness is the most important thing, to be aware when you have been pulled out of it, be aware when you're hanging in your head, because that's how, what we have learned. Yeah, make a logical decision. So I ask my clients, I give them a different, depends on the person, I give them different ways. First of all, I give them a list of how can you drop into your body, because that is, the grounding is important from my perspective. And there are breathing exercises bring you in your body. Breathing brings you in your body. For me, yoga and qigong brings me in my body, because I'm concentrating inwards and I'm not going outwards. Meditation, if you are used to meditation, so if you are a little bit, if you have some experience with meditation, I believe it brings you in your body. When I started with meditation, I was anywhere but in my body, to be honest. Yeah. I was thinking, oh shit, oh my god, I need to do this, I need to do, oh, you're meditating, oh no, no, you're meditating, let the thoughts flow, and they were not flowing, they were just that was my first my beginning of meditating. And then I thought, I hate that, this is horrible. Yeah. And how can I sit still 2 minutes or half an hour? No. So that was helpful. So guided meditations might be helpful to start with, and I think I did that at some point. Now I can just kind of boom drop, and then I'm there. So yeah, it is really body work. It is really consciously going into your body. You can also work with the feeling, starting, okay, do I feel the chair meeting me and supporting me? How does my clothes feel in my body? And then you are getting closer to your body and into your body. How does this feel? Working with your senses as well is helping you to bring you in your body. So what can I see? What can I hear? What can I smell? What can I taste? What have I forgotten? There are more senses, 5 senses. Well, actually, there are a lot more senses than just 5, but we're not going into that. So yeah, it is a practice, a daily practice that everyone can do.
And I think in my experience, I think, when I heard about meditation, I was always, oh yeah, I've got to do 30 minutes. And but then if you approach it in that way, it becomes this very tick the box exercise, which is actually the exact opposite of what you want to do. And I think scheduling some time to sort of plan the activity is okay, but I would rush into it. And then again, I like meditation. I think it's good. Sometimes I hear other people talking about meditation. I'm like, I think I can get into a sort of a nice relaxed state very quickly. I'm not sure it's really connecting with myself fully. I'm not quite sure. What always surprises me though, when I do it, and I've had some guided meditation, when you were saying it, you said, oh, you can feel your clothes on your body, sit in the chair, how's that feeling for you? And when you do that, and then you realize, oh, wow, this exists all day long, we just ignore how these things are feeling on your body, unless you've put on a pair of trousers and they're too tight and you've had too much to eat. Like, you don't really necessarily think about those things. And it's quite enlightening to go, wow, all these things exist. I'm just focused outwards rather than what's actually going on in my very close environment. And yeah, it happened to me the other day. I was like, it was random. I wasn't even planning. I was like, I could feel my t-shirt or something, and I was like, what? Like, why has that come up?
A t-shirt.
Yeah. And I was just, but I was just, and it wasn't hurting, it wasn't rubbing or anything. And I was like, it felt strange. And I was like, yeah, but yeah, of course you feel your t-shirt all the time. You're just not focusing on that thing. So I don't know why it came up. I don't think it was anything enlightening, or I didn't have a eureka moment or anything, but it was, it made me realize, like, oh yeah, it happens all the time. And we're filtering what we're paying attention to. And you have to be, well, you don't have to. I think we could try more just to spend a moment. It can be in any way. It can be when you go to the toilet. Like, you can find ways, just for a moment, for a minute. And I think a minute can become 2 minutes, and I think you can build on things from there. And so my original point was that, again, your experience, all these people that will say, yeah, you've got to do half an hour, or sometimes they sit on a mountain for 2 hours, and but I think whatever you can start, whether it's breath work, meditation, or something, it's, the smallest part is the right part. Don't think that you need to be, aligned within the first session.
No, absolutely not. And it is an evolution for every one of us. And this is always various aspects that are coming together. It's not ever just one thing. And I see that with myself. I see that with my clients. You will see that with yourself as well, that there were always various aspects working together to bring you to the next evolution. It was not only breath work, or only this, or only that. And the universe is plotting for us. It's bringing all the things in, So now you can really get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I see that in my clients as well, in my human design clients or alignment alchemy clients. I see that as well, that there were certain nudges coming, and it was leading them to me, and then human design was giving them the tools and the keys to go deeper or go further, or really, because that is a lovely thing with human design, because it is easy to understand from the beginning, from the surface level, and you can take actions and you have results, and you because alignment is really the biggest part that is important for us. When we get into alignment with who we are and learn how we are designed to take aligned decisions, our whole life is going to change. And then human design can go into every bloody detail that you can imagine. It is so deep, it has no end. Yeah, it goes in digestion and everything. But sorry, but you can get it works with your logic, because it makes sense when you look at it, and then you go to the next step. Okay, how do I embody that? How do I live that? And I think there are, for everyone, there is an individual different way. And if you are having some guidance and some support, you will find your way. And I remember, for me, before I fell into human design, I was doing all sorts of personal development. I was, when I quit my job for the corporate and thought I'm stepping into this freedom, I thought, finally I'm free. And then I was in this business as I'm a trained photographer. I had to break in corporate life before to do my degree when I moved to Scotland. But then I was, I always say, hijacked back into the corporate world for a few years, 7. And then I did. And I said, now I'm in freedom. I'm a photographer. Great. And then, right, where's the money coming from, And then you need to start building a business and learning new things, which is, for everyone who has done this leap, it's a steep learning curve, because suddenly you don't have this corporate setup anymore. So no one is telling you what to do anymore, which is lovely, but then you need to tell yourself what to do. So you need to learn first what it is. And so I built my business. I did lots of courses in marketing and this and that, everything that you should be doing. And it does work to a certain degree. But then I was thinking, shit, I'm not less stressed than I was in corporate. I have I'm working my ass off, long hours every day, so nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is the number on my bank account. Yeah, because I made a lot less money than I did before. And I thought, well, that's shit. So I'm not feeling really this freedom. And then I was on a mission. I wanted to find this alignment, ease, and flow thing. Yeah, that was my mantra: alignment, ease, and flow. Alignment, ease, and flow. That I want alignment, ease, and flow. I didn't really know what that was. So I was on various. So I went into personal development. I spent a lot of money on a program which is quite well known. I will not say it. Which was just giving me more tasks. Yeah, it was just kind of, and I was thinking, oh my God, I want freedom and space and this and that. And now I need to get up 2 hours earlier to do all these things that I need to do, to meditate. Yeah, to meditate, to do this, to do that. I had to write certain things every day. Basically, I had to write a whole chapter of a book every day because this is how it was very masculine, let's say it, this very disciplinary and masculine. I learned a lot, but it was the most horrible 6 years of my 6 months, not years, months of my life, and I was just hoping that it's over. I paid so much money for it, so I forced myself through it. And I remember these meditation sessions. I was there, and I need to do this as well, and this as well, and the time is long. I need to do my work, and then someone. So when I fell. Then I learned to work with energy, but it was still kind of not. I was still stressed, hamster wheeling, because that was what I knew, and that was how I was conditioned to operate. So, and then when I fell into human design and started embodying my own design, going into the deconditioning, and because I'm, oh my God, that's me. My whole life, previous life, made sense. But then my coach said one thing, and that was kind of like, oh, yes. She said, for meditation, you don't need to sit there for half an hour. You can meditate 2 minutes when you're under the shower. You can do this, you can do that. And I said, oh, really? Wow. And that took the whole pressure off that it needs to be in a certain way. It can be your way. And ever since, when I want to sit in stillness, I don't even call it meditation. I sit in stillness, and I'm kind of in my body and breathing and relaxing myself and calming myself down and calling my power back, because we keep giving our power away to situations, to other people, to other opinions, to what you should be doing and what's right for your business. So it's always important to call your power back to you, because that's where it belongs. And then you can drop more into your body and more into your body and listen.
Yeah, I think so. I've signed up for that whole thing before. I remember at a certain point, I was getting up at 4:30 to meditate, to journal, to say affirmations, to do a workout, all before my children woke up. And by 9 o'clock, I was going back to bed, like once they'd gone to school or crash, because I was absolutely exhausted. And I'd sort of not upset the family, but I was trying to be as quiet as I could. And none of it brought me any benefits that I could tell you about. It just felt like a to-do list, and I think I was searching for like a one thing that solved all my problems, or like this unrest or something like that. And then I think with all of these things, it's about finding what works for you. I talk about this. So journaling is something that I play with, like sort of comes into my life and goes. And there's different ways of doing it and stuff. But I think so adding loads of things in your life really is not the answer. It's actually taking things away from your life. And it's strange because of my conditioning, I was told to work hard, do things, etc. So the logic part of me says, yeah, just do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that. But the biggest breakthroughs have come when I've said no to things. And that's quite difficult when you go, well, if I don't do that, then I haven't meditated 7 days this week. And I have very much all or nothing thinking a lot of the time. Getting better at it, but it does creep in quite often. And but I've realized that, you know, there are many ways to do things. There are many tools out there, many different things. And it's finding what works for you, what feels enjoyable, what feels pleasurable. And yeah, that doesn't mean going and eating a big cake, and you know that's not healthy for you, and then you're thinking about yourself. But it's about subtracting, not adding to your life, and that takes discipline, certainly for me, maybe not for others. But and sometimes like the scripts in my head are running, so that's why I think, oh, okay, I have to pay attention. And it's easy to fall into it, quite like you just go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. You see something and you do that. But I wanted to get back to the point about alignment, because I'm quite interested to understand. So what does alignment feel like? Is it like this feeling of freedom, or is it different for everybody? What does it feel like? Do you have to know who you are to feel alignment? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, we can. So but there is a very simple formula coming from the human design, which I think is really helpful, because when we start, or when we are in this busy world, we have our busy mind, we are conditioned, we are not necessarily living the life of our dreams or the life that we want, because we are people pleasing and following the shoulds and all these things. So human design can give you a bit of compass. So when we look at let me go quickly through the 5 human design types. We have 10% of us. So we have 5 groups. And it's not a box. I want to say that right now. It's not a box. Yeah. So everyone can do anything. But when you start learning and understanding that your energy flows in a certain way, because there is a rough guidance per type, but then it depends on everyone's chart is different. Everyone's chart is different, unless they're just born next to each other in the same room at the same time. But then differences are happening because of different experiences that they have in their life, which everyone experiences different. So anyhow, so we have the majority of us, 70%, are what we call generators and manifesting generators. Generators and manifesting generators, they dance with life force energy. They are the builders in this world. They have this beautiful sacral energy, which is the human design system, works with energy centers, which are quite aligned with the chakra system. Or there are. The Kabbalah is a part of it as well. The I Ching is a part of it. Genetics is a part of it. Quantum physics is a part of it. So it's a beautiful mix. And it is quite clear at the beginning. So the generators are the doers. What is important for generators? So if you are a generator or manifesting generator, you need to go with your energy. So your body tells you what to build. Your body tells you have the energy to do this, to bring that in fruition. So I always say everything that we have around is built by the beautiful energy of the generators and manifesting generators. And when a generator and a manifesting generator, when they are in alignment, they're really sparkly. They have an enveloping aura. Yeah, so they just expel this beautiful energy, so that everyone wants to be with you when you are in alignment. Yeah, then you are sparkling when you are. And the feeling that it is for a generator to be in alignment is a feeling of satisfaction. Yeah, satisfaction of having a job well done in some way, having created something, this beautiful feeling. And a generator and a manifesting generator who is in alignment, talking a bit more about these because that is the highest percentage in humanity. They need to follow what lights them up, which feels good. Yeah, when you follow what lights you up, that feels good. Yeah, and not listening to this voice for saying, yeah, but you need to do the harder bit because that is whatever. Yeah, or people pleasing comes in. Yeah, but if I do this, what will XYZ thinking about that? Yeah? And you have, as I know a bit of your life story, you have followed that path, and it was not always easy, you know. But when you were doing but that feels really good. That feels really aligned, and then. And the other thing is, because the generators and manifesting generators are the builders, so their body or the sacral, this life force energy, which is lit up by something. Oh yeah, I want to do this. This is how it feels. Yeah? I'm not a generator, but I know how they are. I am living with one. Yeah. Oh, I want to do this now. And then when they do something that lights them up, they have a lot of energy available, because that basically produces energy. And I like to explain that always like this steam engine. You know, I'm possibly having watched too many Jules Verne movies. Yeah, I see this like this steam engine that is going, yeah, and it's kind of ding, ding, and all the bells and whistles are ringing, and it's happy, and this is alignment, yeah, for a generator. This is when you're working with your energy. When you go in this direction where someone else is telling you should, and you're like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, this is logically, it makes sense. There's more money coming around, yeah. And then you start doing it, and then your engine says, and you find it really, really hard. So every second feels like an hour, and you're not. It drains you. Yeah, it's not energizing you, and it's frustrating you. It's just so frustrating to carry on with that. So that's when you're not in alignment. So for generators and manifesting generators, it's relatively easy. You're feeling satisfied and lit up, or you're feeling frustrated and drained. And then the other energy types. So we have the manifestors. That are the initiators in our world. They are here to bring things into action. Yeah. And they are here to stir the pot in some way. Yeah. They're here to, they're actually here to bring the recipe. Yeah. Let's create this thing. Yeah. And they have an interesting energy because they are here to bring new things into the collective. So their aura is different. Yeah. Their aura needs to create space for them to bring that forward. So there's a funny word in the human design world. They have a bit of a repelling aura, but that is more for, they need to avoid that people step into their space and stop them bringing that forward. And when that is happening, so their feeling of not being in alignment is anger. They get angry, yeah, because and when they are in alignment, they are at peace. And manifestors work in cycles. Yeah, they have their creative urge, then they need to bring something out and forward, and then they need to go into a rest cycle. In our society, we always say, oh, you need to initiate, then you need to do all the things, then you need to guide yourself through, then you need to reflect on you, but that's not true. So the initiators, this energy comes from the manifestors. And then the doing energy, the lit up, oh my God, let's do this. That is all the generators up here. And this is also how it works. You know, the manifestor brings something in the world. Oh my God, I have here, let's create this. And then they are basically in the ideal world waiting for the for the right generator to say, oh my God, this is so exciting. Well, I'll start now. Yeah, because that's how the energy flows. Yeah. By the manifestor says, okay, that started, let's find the next thing. And then there are the projectors. I'm a projector. 20% of us are projectors. They're here to guide. Yeah, we are here to guide. We're here to. That's why what I'm doing, guiding people into alignment, and even in the brand photography, it is guidance. So when we are out of alignment, so okay, the projector energy is more focused on one person. Yeah, we just kind of, I want to hear everything about you. Yeah, and it worked apparently. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
100%.
genuine. And it's genuine. So when we are the projectors seeing the world more from a top view perspective, from a bird's eye perspective, and the idea is that they see how the energy flow and how things can be done differently or better. Yeah, whereas the generators, the manifesting generators, they're just so embodied in their doing the things in their light and in their happiness, yep, when they are in alignment. So that the projectors can see, all right, you could do that better, you could do that better. We have a little bit of a that's called the strategy, where every type has a different strategy, how we are supposed to do things so that it actually works without should. We need to wait for an invitation as a projector, because we are not here to give unsolicited advice, although we would love to do that all day. Yeah, because we see something, that you could do that better. Yeah, so and then, why are you not doing it like this? I didn't ask you. I'm doing that the way I want. Yeah. So as a projector, we are here to wait for recognition. We are here to wait that people invite us in and say, "Oh, Kerstin, what do you think about that?" You know, and then I'm asked. My advice is welcome, so I can give something. So that's why having an invitation here for this live, for this conversation, this is kind of, oh my God, this is so wonderful. Yeah. And the being out of alignment for projectors manifests as bitterness. No one's listening to me, and they don't want to hear what I have to say. And the opposite, so the aligned feeling is feeling successful. It's a feeling of success for us, yeah, and satisfaction and success. It is. Everyone has a different way of definition for themselves, yeah, and they are relatively close. But if a client comes back and tells me, "Oh my God, the transformation was so amazing," and this is all gone, and I feel, wow, yeah, it worked. I helped, yeah, I could help. And the last, this is the reflectors. This is 1% of us. They are here to reflect back to the collective how they're doing things. So I like to put it always into a flow, like go to a movie set. So you have the producer, that is the manifester, comes with this thing, maybe even with a bucket of money, yeah. And then the generators and the manifesting generators, there are the talent, the camera, the stage building, the makeup, the hair, the costume making, all these people. Without that, it would never come into existence. And the projector, this is the guy on the chair and saying, "Oh, wait a moment, put the camera a little bit more left, and then you get that right." Yeah, because as the bird's eye view. And the reflector is the one that goes into the movie theater and writes the critique of the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the analogy of a film set. That's it's strange. As you were talking about that, I started to think. So you said that you prefer to work one-on-one with people, but I was thinking, so I have a lot of founders and CEOs in my audience. I don't, hopefully they're watching, but this sort of information is pretty vital about the people that you're hiring and the people that you're putting together. Because so one of the reasons I started all of this was because I think people are unhappy in their work. A lot of people are unhappy for multiple reasons. And it's not just their work, it might be their private life leading into work. But work is such a big part of our lives. You know, let's say minimum we're doing 35 hours a week. I do that differently, just by the way. But like how we work, when we work, how we show up, our energy, what we want from work, and how we can bring our best, all of that is very misaligned in from a company's perspective, because you go, yeah, I want you to do that job, and the way that you are spoken to or fit into these boxes, shoehorned to do it. And I was thinking how powerful it would be if you owned a company and you saw your people from this different perspective, you know, not just as, okay, you work in sales, you work in marketing, you work in support or whatever. Understand more about what is required from these jobs, these alignments, and hire or move people accordingly. And yeah, I would imagine most of the time it must feel like, oh, everyone's trying to, it's like a big gridlock system, you know, there's like loads of traffic, people trying to move and do things, and it's not working. Whereas you've talked about flow and alignment. If you get all these things working together, what a beautiful system. Like, and then I start to think about energy again. How much must all that flow if you're actually aligned and you're working together, or you're doing your bit in a rewarding way for you, and then you, if I say, pass it on to the next person, or as you said, like the movie set, and you all play your role in the way that feels absolutely aligned. I think of the alternative, which is, I would probably say, a huge percentage of the companies that I've ever seen or been in, and like how that doesn't work. You might be lucky that you do a job that is in alignment, but I would like to say that's not often the case.
Yes, yeah, and I come from the corporate world as well. It is, the thing is, because when we don't understand ourselves in the first place, which we have all been there. I mean, there are some wonderful humans who figured it out a bit earlier than others. Yeah, I'm more the latecomer here. We don't see the connection. We don't see how the wheels work together. And we are often comparing ourselves with others, obviously. Yeah. And so a projector who doesn't know that they're a projector in the corporate environment with all the generators and manifesting generators will always fall short, will always feeling that they are falling short because they cannot create or work that much than the sacral beings, you know. And then if you always think the imposter syndrome comes in, and then I cannot do that much as I can do. How can I hide that? How can I pretend, you know? Then and that brings all this kind of hard energy in consideration, where you think, how can I survive? Then it goes into survival, actually. How can I survive in this job so that everyone thinks I'm doing a good job, although I think I'm not doing enough because I'm not doing as much as this person is doing. I don't know how they're doing this, and I can't do this and this. And everyone in itself sits with their own concerns, you know. So the one in the next, I can remember that in corporate one time I was always hiding all my fears and all this. Obviously, everyone is doing that, yeah. And then I had a conversation with a colleague, and then I said, and I was always admiring him, and I said, "Oh my God, I went to this meeting. I had no clue what to do there." And I said, "Well, you didn't have a clue?" "Yeah, I was just hoping no one's asking me anything." And I said, "What?" "Yeah." And I was thinking, "Oh my God, other people feeling the same as I do. So I'm not on my own." But anyhow, I believe what you were saying is if and I think there is a change. The human design came to the world in 1980 something, yeah. And so it's a relatively new system, but it is getting traction, more people learn about it, more people are excited about it, more people think, oh my God, this is amazing. And I think there are companies taking it on already. I know that there are military operations in certain countries working with human design already, and getting that in and bringing the right people in the right position with also the understanding why they are there and what their job is. So it is moving forward. And I think in general, well, I hope, because I left corporate 6-7 years ago now, that it will be also rolling into bigger companies. I mean, they a lot work with the personality systems, the Myers-Briggs and stuff like that, which is different, because Myers-Briggs, you answer questions, and you're possibly putting your logic a little bit in, and you're thinking, I don't know, I cannot say that. I better do this. Yeah, and no, that's not true. And also, it is only a momentary picture. I've done thousands of personality tests. Who hasn't? It's quite funny sometimes, but they change, 6 months ago I was this, and then another 6 months further I'm suddenly that. So they're changing because I'm changing. But your design, how your energy flows in your unique body and life and system, this doesn't change, So this is more a place and going, okay, how can I support the flow so that everything goes easier for me and for the world around me, instead of learning that. I think that will be, it will be coming. It will be taking some time possibly, but I think the voices around human design and are getting louder, and it's getting bigger. And also in the smaller concepts, small companies, it's really easy, for that job, you want to have a generator who is really excited about doing that. For that job, you want to have a projector. And okay, when I hire a manifestor for this and that, they bring things into the first movement, and when you look into manifesting generators, you're a manifesting generator, aren't you?
Yeah.
So they are really fast in what they're doing, and they can multitask, and they can move left and right very quickly. Whereas generators are more kind of, I go in all this, and they are basically on the steamboat, and give them something where they can lock themselves up, what makes them happy, they will be very happy. And manifesting generators, you don't want to bore them. If you have only one thing to work on, and then after that there's I need something else. So this is where people often got conditioned in early life, when they are kind of not finishing things. It is a manifesting generator. That's how they're built. So for everyone who's listening, if you're a manifesting generator, you are built to not go linear. Linear bores you to death. You go and because manifesting generators are here to find shortcuts, and they will find shortcuts when they try things out. And jump forward, and then, oh right, no, I should not have left that step, not done, and then they paddle back and then do this one thing. Okay, I'll try it. And so when you put the energy, and there is more. If you have profile lines, there's a lot more, how the centers are defined, what gates we have, what channels we have. So it goes really deep. But when you start looking at that, you can get such a beautiful functional ecosystem set up with happy humans, of course that will be more successful. Of course that will be more productive. Of course that will be, and possibly the people will be needing half amount the time to have the same results.
It's strange because when you say that, my brain switches to the efficiency. From a company perspective, we're always looking to make things more efficient, but we treat people like robots. And we go, okay, well, how can you do that job more efficiently based on logic that you would say a robot, okay, do 2 steps together, or cut this one out and automate it or something. But we never really think about a person. We always say resources, and I understand
Horrible,
resources. Yeah, it's quite something, but
human resources.
Yeah, and I struggle with that,
isn't it?
yeah. And so I think that term should be maybe changed somewhat, but I think that's a topic for another day. But I think if people were to think about this, and obviously I'm very conscious of time. I'll try and wrap this up, be the final point. But if companies thought about this in that way, and how they could bring these conversations, this awareness of people, and bring that into the dynamics and what they're trying to achieve in their companies. Wow, that's great. But it starts with people. And that's the important thing, that I think most companies, they just think, okay, we're going to flog this person to death, and when they're finished, we'll get someone younger and newer to do it. And I think if we started to rethink and consider these concepts and these ideas of how people are and their flow, I think work would be a lot better place. Everyone would be more fulfilled, and like you said, more successful and be more efficient. That seems, in my logical brain, still the right way to go.
Nothing wrong with logic, when you apply it to the outside, which we were just doing.
Yeah.
Don't apply it to your own personal decisions, then you might go in the wrong direction.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up here, because honestly, there is a danger of you and me not stopping, and we're just talking for forever and ever. I just want to acknowledge there were 2 people that posted comments. Lazara Canton, I think she knows you. She said, it's great to see you, Kerstin, and tune in part of this conversation. So that's great. And Megan Grant said, I see so many online courses set up on the same formula, and I've done them myself, but they never help. As you said, you end up with more things on your to-do list, and it can be draining. So thank you both for your comments. I think it's great that other people are seeing the things that we've experienced. I knew for certain that we weren't the only ones, but it's great that people are contributing. Kerstin, again, there is a real sorry.
Say something before we are wrapping up.
Okay.
Regarding that, because we have now talked about the corporate or the big company setups. It is also really important for the small business owners, or even those what I never know what I want to call them. I might call myself, I'm a solopreneur, maybe I'm not, but a solo business owners, or whatever you want to call them. And because we get trapped a lot from the outside world as well, how we should be doing things, how to, and you were talking about that earlier, you need to have a funnel, you need to have an email list, you need to have a website, you need to have this, you need to have that, you need to have that, and you need to launch every 2 weeks, and you need to write 15,000 kilometer long sales pages, and you need to do this and you need to do that. And that is something that I'm seeing where a lot of us get, and I've been there. Yeah, you're signing up for courses and you're doing all these things, and then you're basically burying the dream that you had. Yeah, the aligned dream of what you wanted to build, how you wanted to help people, how you wanted to do these things, is suddenly suffocated by all these things that people tell you should be doing, because you are thinking, yeah, working hard is how it has to be. You're trying to work through all these things, and in the end you're drained and frustrated and bitter, and it's actually not working. So also, as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, as a coach or therapist or whatever you're doing, it is really important to build from the aligned foundations, come back to your truth, come back to who you are, understand how your energy is working, and then build your business or whatever you want, whatever it is, build your business on top of the aligned foundations, and always come back to these aligned foundations, because this is where your values sit. This is where your decision making sits. Yeah, this is where your desires sit. Yeah, and instead building, and this is also the feminine energy. So this is the really kind of the grounding feminine energy, and build on that. Then you can build an alignment. You always need to check back in. Is that still aligned? Is that still aligned? And a lot I have seen and I have worked with, they have built from the top down. Yeah, so from logic, first of all, logic, and then we write a business plan. Not sure, I don't think you have. Yeah, you need to write a business plan, then you go from logic, and then you, what is people wanting to buy, and then you create your ideal client avatar, maybe even. Yeah, but it has actually nothing to do anymore with what you really want to do. And then you get trapped into a business that you have built that is draining you and that is not making you happy, and possibly also doesn't flow that well. And the other thing that I see often is that people started an aligned business and then they got sidetracked from all these things, how they should be doing things, and suddenly it doesn't feel good anymore. I just want to tell everyone here who might be hearing that and feeling that, you can always come back to alignment without burning it all down, but there needs to be a little bit of courage of letting go of things that are not aligned, and then doubling up in the things that feel really good. And this way is possible, this path is possible. I have changed a hell of a lot in my business, and I'm working a lot less than I did before. Yeah, I have more time, space, freedom, flow. I have my moments where I kind of drop out and think, I have noticed it relatively quickly. And then I thought, okay, let's come back. Yeah, let's go. And I go back to the basics a lot. So I just wanted to bring it also in the entrepreneurial world, because we were speaking from the corporate world. So it is, alignment is the way forward.
Yeah,
it brings us freedom and truth and authenticity as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's actually something I'd echo, because I've tried to start businesses before and I got caught in the trap of, okay, you need email outreach, funnels, etc. And I quickly went away from the thing that I was trying to do, and you get caught in all of these things. And I would say this, I think that's a system that's been working for a while now, and people are becoming wise to it. They see a framework coming a mile off, and people have sold them something, and these big courses. And the more people I speak to, the more they're going, no, I would like something real. I'd like something more about me, not just a volume business. And it's easy out of a volume business to pick the top 5 people out of 100 and make those your testimonials. But I think there are the rare exception of overnight successes, but we're often sold this picture that you'll be more successful, you'll generate money, and I think that's often a trigger for people, and then they get caught in that. But again, maybe a topic for another day. I think the more I talk, I'm probably not doing what you said.
I know. I'm already kind of, I have something to say to that.
yeah. But yeah, we are way over. Kerstin, so Megan relates to your comment very much. So we're going to draw a line, because we are going to talk so much. But
we are definitely, if you have time.
Yeah, we're definitely doing a round 2 or round 3 or 4 as well. So, but most importantly, for those of you, obviously you've got your fans that are already know you, but those who don't, where should they find you? Is it LinkedIn where I found you, or a website? Where's the best place for people to find you?
LinkedIn. My website, I was thinking about my website this morning, and I thought it is kind of like, it's nothing older than the newspaper from yesterday. So this is my website. No, I would love to connect you on LinkedIn. Send me a message. This is my main platform. If you're really interested in looking into finding out what human design type you are, in my featured section, I think there is a post, possibly something like, what the heck is human design? You get a link and you can get a free chart, which is from my website. And yeah, if anyone wants to hear a little bit more, I can talk forever, and I love an invitation.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Kerstin. I appreciate your time, your conversation, your wisdom, your honesty, your everything really, and who you are. And again, allowing me to show up and brain dump all of my previous problems on you within the first 5 minutes of us meeting. So, but for today, thank you so much. Yeah, it really was. It really, really was. But thank you very much. Yeah, it's such a pleasure. And yeah, we're doing a round 2 for sure.
Yeah, we definitely. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for organizing all that, doing all the everything around it. Yeah,
you're welcome.
And you never know where that is going to lead you to. Just trust your gut.
Yeah, I'm going to go and do some breath work. But yeah, all right, fantastic. Thanks very much, Kerstin.
Thank you, and speak to you soon.
Yeah, bye.